everybody, my name is EK and welcome back to my channel. So I haven't done a video like this in quite some time where I just kind of sit in front of my desk, I have my microphone in front of me, I just ramble about something for however long I feel like rambling about something. I don't have a script, I just have a rough topic and we're just going to go on top of my head about what I really want to talk about today, which is the Switch 2's imminent announcement. You know, the rumor mill is going hard and we're expecting something to occur in the next 48, 72 hours. Nobody knows for sure, but Nintendo probably is going to be announcing something very soon, and I've had this topic on my mind for years really, but I really haven't talked about it too much because I don't really cover too much Switch stuff, which is a bit ironic because when I started my channel, the first video I ever did was a Switch review. I did a review of a couple of different Switch games as well, and I kind of drifted away from that when my capture card died. Like, it's still working, I think it should work, but somehow my PC doesn't recognize it. Anyway, that's a different topic. Today, I want to talk about my big letdowns with the Switch, and I want to talk about why I am very optimistic for the Switch 2, which is very weird because I haven't been optimistic for Nintendo in quite some time. So, first of all, let's talk about my issues with the Switch in general, which is a device that honestly I have not used a lot since buying. I mean, I have used it a lot, but I've gone for long periods of time where I haven't used it a lot. You know, around the time I got it in 2018, I spent a lot of time playing, you know, Pokemon Let's Go. I played just a whole bunch of different games. I played a bit of Octopath Traveler, but then I kind of dropped it because why play that when I can play on my PC? So I only used it when I was like traveling and stuff like that, which I haven't done too much ever since, you know, COVID broke out years and years ago. But recently with my girlfriend, I have been going through, Mario Odyssey, and I've been playing more myself. I've been playing Dragon Quest XI on there, and there are main gripes that I have with it, and I want to talk about that a bit at the start of the video here today. So first of all, I think it's criminal how terribly underpowered the Switch is. It makes sense. The Switch is a cheap device relatively cheap device that was already underpowered, already old, by the time it was launching, which happens to hardware sometimes, but I felt like it was terrible at launch, and the only reason it has done as well as it has done is because, well, two reasons really. One is the game catalog has been pretty decent, and two, let's be real here, Nintendo players or handheld players, they don't have any like technical standards to, you know, like really live up to. You know, they just kind of accept whatever Nintendo throws their way, and that's not to blame those players. It's just, you know, that's how Nintendo has operated for years, and they probably will never really change that too much because they know they can get away with this. You know, if you're a friend of mine and I'm a friend of mine, you will know, we will have probably talked about this at some point, and how I think an example here is Pokemon has been so incredibly mismanaged. Yes, they've sold many copies. They've made millions, billions on the thing. And from an economic point of view, they've probably done very well. But unfortunately, they have not done very well in continuing to make me want to play their games. Because, like, I really liked the way Pokemon Let's Go Eevee looked. That game looked great. I kinda like the way Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remake look, because at least it looks consistent. But then looking at Sword and Shield, and looking at Arceus, and looking at the new ones that I just kind of blanked on for the name, like that's how much I care about them. They look like they're GameCube ports. Like, on this channel, I'm not a Pokemon hater. I love Pokemon. I played tons of Pokemon Gold in the past. I played Pokemon Red, Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Pearl, Diamond. I did a whole playthrough of Pokemon Colosseum on the channel. You know, I love Pokemon, but I just think it's been underutilized, and I think you can do so much more if you just put your mind to it. And then, you know, you look at games like Dragon Quest XI. Why does a third-party game look and run much better on the Switch than a first-party game like Pokemon? And then you look at Mario Odyssey. That game looks incredible. It runs incredible. It's like locked FPS. It's great. But then you see these shitty developers from like, it's turning into a Pokemon rant, by the way, just so you know. But, you know, you just see these shitty developers, you know, not know how to optimize their games. They copy and paste a tree 17,000 times, and they're like, well, I guess that's the new Pokemon game. Let's move on and do other things with our lives because we clearly don't care anymore. Okay, so I told you, you know, no script, just a topic. I'm going to go and ramble, okay? If you like this kind of content, stay tuned. If not, what are you still doing here? Anyway, that is really where I feel like the Switch fell apart. But I think, and this is why I'm excited, I think AI is going to solve the problem. Because if AI, if specifically stuff like DLSS, FSR, or Intel's XEXX or XESS, whatever it's called, if those things weren't there, I would not be excited. Because what I'm expecting Nintendo to do is I'm expecting them to launch a product again that is massively inferior to their competitors, and that is just like, it doesn't look great, it doesn't run great, and people will buy it like it's like the next amazing cake or whatever, but it's not going to be a technological marvel. And it doesn't have to be, don't get me wrong. You know, Nintendo has always lived on gameplay first, graphics second, like style over pixel count. And I appreciate that. I just wish I could play that at like locked 60 FPS at least with like 1080p. Like, is that too much to ask? It's 2025, guys. Like, I'm looking to buy a 4K ultra monitor at some point. Why can I only play my Switch games at 720p and then, you know, like have them drop to 23 FPS. I'm looking at you, Breath of the Wild. Most overrated game in existence, by the way. I think, you know, quick side tangent here again, but I just think Breath of the Wild, terrible, guys. Like, it's not a terrible game, don't get me wrong, it's not a terrible game, but my god, like 720p or lower drops on the 30 FPS, like 22, 23 FPS. How do you play that? I can't play that, guys. My PC Master Race brain can't play that. Okay, back on track. Why am I so excited? Well, imagine if the jump in hardware, because there is going to be a jump in hardware, of course. Like, you can't re-release a Switch with the same hardware. That just doesn't work. But let's say it's launching with a bit better hardware. You know, it's still as outdated relative to the current hardware as the Switch was outdated relative to the hardware back in 2016, 17, 18. I can't remember when it launched. I bought it in 2018. I don't know when it launched. But even if it's severely underpowered right now, let's say we're talking, you know, we have like a PS5 out right now. Let's say we're talking like PS4 levels of performance. Let's say we're talking, you know, 2060, like RTX 2060, 3050. Like, let's say we're talking that kind of level of performance, which is not bad. It can run 1080p, 60 FPS, most games, no problem, locked in at like decent settings. All right. That's great. But why am I so excited specifically for the AI part? Well, I think DLSS, or if you don't know what DLSS is, you know, it plays the game internally at a lower resolution. So for example, you want to output 1440p or you want to output 4K, it is actually downscaled to like 720 or 1080p, and then it's using an AI algorithm which takes much less actual horsepower from your GPU. Don't know how they pull it off, but apparently it works. And it scales it back up to, well, your desired output, and it looks almost identical. You know, I have been looking at DLSS content for a while now. I haven't experienced it myself because I have a 1080 Ti and I don't have access to it right now. I'm looking to upgrade to maybe the 50 series, depending on availability, prices, etc. But I am just very excited for the prospect of a Switch using DLSS, because I think it is especially prominent when you have a lower end system. You know, it's I guess it's good, you know, if you can run 4K, but instead you run it through DLSS, and you know, you go from 60 FPS to like 200 FPS by using DLSS. You know, it's great and all, but it's not necessarily something that you have to use, because you can also just turn some settings down. But I think on weaker hardware, where there really isn't much room, having a game run, you know, it's entirely possible for the Switch 2 to potentially run games at 4K 60 FPS. Now, obviously, it will not be ultra ray traced shadows, path traced stuff. Like, it won't be that kind of 4K 60 FPS, but it probably will be able to by using DLSS or FSR. I think they go for NVIDIA architecture now, but I'm not 100% sure if that's been confirmed or not. But them using that allows them to create games that look decent or like medium to high graphics. You know, they run at 1080p, they run perfectly fine at 60 FPS, and then using DLSS to upscale to 4K. So I think the technological gap of the consoles, and in particular the Wii console like the Switch, is going to be minimized a lot with DLSS, and I do think if they use the backwards compatibility that I think they announced at some point, that they're gonna allow you to play Switch games on the Switch 2 or whatever the name is going to be. I actually honestly think Switch 2 is fine. I don't think you want to repeat something like the Wii and the Wii U again, where you give it like a semi-different name, but then you don't exactly know if it's like a sequel or a different thing or whatever it is. So I think just going Switch 2 is fine, especially since the Switch was just like an incredible device in terms of the market popularity. But yeah, I just think if I can play all my old games, but I can now lock them into 60 FPS, I think it can really breathe new life into old titles. You know, if the titles are built around the ability to be run at better settings, like, you know, you could release a patch, and this patch could be like a new texture pack or something. It could be a 4K texture pack. It can be, you know, unlocking something to 60 FPS. If it wasn't unlocked to 60 FPS, you can just do some patches, provided the game's engine support those patches. And you can breathe new life into old games that probably don't drive many sales anymore, but can once again start driving sales. And I think that is kind of like the game, like, it's kind of like the PC gamer experience in Switch, you know? Like, I love the moment when I play the game at like 1440p, 1080p, 60 FPS or something, and then you upgrade to like a much better monitor with like a much better GPU, and all of a sudden you can play the game again. But, oh my god, now it's 4K, now it's got ray trace shadows, now it's got all of these bells and whistles that just make the game look incredible. And I think something like that on the Switch could be really, really fun as well, and it would make me play my Switch a ton more, because honestly, the thing holding it back for me is simply that it's too weak. And I'm, like I said, you know, I'm not looking for 4K ray trace shadows. I would be fine, honestly. Like, if the Switch runs 60 FPS, 1440p, and like my 4K, my 4K TV, you know, does like some basic upscaling stuff, but like it looks 4K to me, like, I can't tell from like a distance of the TV, like 1440p, 4K. Let's be real here, guys. It often looks almost identical depending on the source material. Like, if it's super high quality stuff from like a super high quality movie, yeah, you can tell. But if it's like a pixelated game, if it's like Mario Odyssey, like, you could show me 1080p and I could still maybe think it's 4K as long as I'm like sufficiently distant from the screen, you know? So I don't think that's too important. I just want performance. If they can have consistent performance at least 1080p, preferably moving up to 4K somewhere, 60 FPS at the very least, locked in. Like, I don't want any switching back and forth like 30 or you know. I just want locked in FPS, okay? I want to sit back. I want to enjoy my game. I don't want to have to worry about stutters, because I think that's the beautiful thing about a console, you know? Like, you don't have to optimize settings. Like, I would like them to give me settings. You know, if we're talking DLSS, you know, I would like to give me a performance mode and a like a quality mode and those kind of things. Like, if they can give that to me, I would be incredible. You know, I would definitely play with that. But yeah, I'm just excited that maybe the Switch finally will not be a pain in my ass anymore. And I would personally also be interested, maybe they do this, probably not, in them having different models. You know, having like a Switch 2 and a Switch 2 Pro, with one of them being, you know, just simply more capable, or you being able to buy some sort of like enhanced dock with like a separate GPU that, you know, amplifies your games. Just like, give me some tools to make my experience better if I want to spend more money on the Switch. Anyway, that's 13 minutes of me just completely rambling out of my ass right now. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys have to say. This probably won't be the kind of video that gets as much traction as my other videos, because honestly, it's just me rambling about whatever. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I just had to get this off my chest. It's off my chest now, and I can finally go about my day again, and I can go record some more WoW. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.